question we are discussing today is who bears moral responsibility when an autonomous robot, advanced robot, causes harm? Is it a robot or is it a creator's responsibility? Just to clarify some terms, we understand autonomous to mean robots that can make split-second decisions based on data analysis. And we understand harm to mean it causes suffering or damage. Our team's stance on this is that the creators are responsible due to their control and accountability over the robot's design.
Premise 1. Robots lack moral agency. They cannot act intentionally, they lack free will, and they can't apply moral reasoning. Intentionality is when actions are deliberate and informed by an understanding of their implications. A self-driving car, when asked to swerve to avoid a collision, is not choosing to act in a moral way, but rather executing its programming to minimize damage. Free will. Robots lack free will because free will is when individuals can evaluate choices and act according to their moral beliefs. Robots can never be free, as they execute tasks based on data, or coded by the creators. John Searle explains this by saying, machines stimulate understanding, but don't genuinely possess it. Their decisions are outputs and not judgment. Lastly, they can't apply moral reasoning. Moral reasoning requires the ability to comprehend ethical principles and weigh them against each other. Robots have no feelings or emotional range or experience of being human. Their actions are defined by programming algorithms of data and not conscious choice.
Premise 2 describes that autonomy is designed. So the robot's actions, although appearing to be independent, have been fundamentally shaped by the creator's design choices, algorithms, and rules. An example we could use would be an analogous clock, where it seems to be independent in how it functions. However, a creator or designer has determined its function through, for example, applying its gears. If a clock has messed up in some way by going too fast or too slow, the fault does not lie with the clock itself, but rather the creator who made certain decisions about the clock's design, therefore resulting in a mistake being made. Using this analogy, we can then infer that the creator is to blame for the robot's actions, as its sense of autonomy was designed and preempted by said creator, causing them to be liable for the robot's faults. Premise 3, which comes from premise 1 and 2, states that negligence amplifies culpability. Negligence happens when a creator fails to adequately test or regulate their robots enough. The creator bears moral and often legal responsibility for the harm caused because they failed to see the risk. Much like when a builder is in charge of building a bridge, they're in charge of testing for anything that could go wrong. The culpability of the builder is amplified due to their negligence in testing, much like the creator's culpability is amplified by them not testing.
Premise 4 goes deeper into premise 3. Creators, and it talks about creators have the responsibility of moral foresight to prevent predictable risks. Creators are aware of the potential of consequences of granting a robot autonomy. It could cause harm, and they have a responsibility to mitigate these risks. Creators are also liable for failing to address these areas of concern before deploying the technology to the public, such as when a roller coaster is vigorously tested before people are allowed to ride it. Which leads into the final premise, which concerns the practical legal obligations of the liability, and that it rests on the manufacturer or the operator of the tools. Hart, a legal philosopher, argues that the responsibility is tied to the agent with control over causation and potential harm. In the first case, it would be the creator, but in a case where somebody weaponizes a computer to cause harm to somebody else, that would be the responsibility of the person involved.
Overall, we believe in the case of an autonomous robot causing harm, that the robots lack moral agency, and this is because autonomy is designed and not inherent. When a robot is manufactured, negligence amplifies culpability, or predictable risk and moral foresight should be accountable with precedent and legal obligations. In the future, we believe that the creators should be wary and should take the proper measures to prevent these things from happening.